Hello, everyone. I'm just logging in here and getting ready. Give me a moment to finish setting up. Hope you're all doing wonderfully today. All right, let me get some Palo Santo burning and get some smoke in here. Shuffle the deck a little bit, and then we will get started. Welcome to my tarot parlor, so to speak. My name is Will. I'm going to do some free live readings today. It will be first come, first served. If you're interested in a reading, please check the video description or the pinned chat message for information. I'm just asking that those of you who would like a reading type into the chat, please add me to the list just one time in all caps. That way I'll easily be able to tell who has requested a reading. And I'll probably go for a couple of hours today. We'll see how things are. I have some traveling planned in my own personal life starting tomorrow. And so I'll be away from home for quite some time. I'm doing quite a lot of traveling this summer. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm going to do my best to continue to live stream. It won't be every day like it was last week, but I will do as much as I can. It sort of depends on, wherever I'm at in the world. Like for a while, I'm going to be staying with family, and I'm not totally sure if I'll be able to set up an environment that's really conducive to live streaming. I'm going to try. I'm bringing stuff with me, so we'll see how it goes. I've also I have enough subscribers now that I'm able to live stream from my mobile phone. So I maybe would try that and see if that works, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I have some pre-recorded pick a card videos that I'll be releasing. So if you don't see me live streaming as often, you'll at least have those that I'll be publishing. I also have some deck review videos and unboxings and things like that from decks that I've recently got. And so I'll still be releasing content. And my plan is, once I'm done with all this traveling, I'm hoping to continue live streaming on a regular basis. And what I'll probably do in the fall is schedule certain days, maybe like twice a week or something, where I'm live streaming. Maybe it's every, I don't know, Wednesday at 4 or whatever it might be. But we'll talk about that once we get further on in time. So I've got my Conver Bendov deck here, Tarot de Marseille deck, and I'll give it a bit of a shuffle. I've got some other decks around as well. This one, I'm just really comfortable with it, which is why I use it the most. Those of you who've seen my live streams before already know that. But I've got other decks here, and I might feel inclined to reach for them depending on my mood and the questions that come up. And and all of that. But we'll probably start with this guy. We'll just see what happens. So it's just now 3 o'clock. I know I started a little early today, but if anyone would like to be added to the list, it is currently open. And Jasmine, I see you'd like to be added. So I'll add you. All right. Well, why don't we just go ahead and start with Jasmine. If you'd like to post your question whenever you're ready, no hurry. We can be nice and chill and relaxed today. No reason to rush things. Hi, B. I hope you're doing well as well. I'm doing great. I've been packing for some travel, making sure I'm not forgetting anything, especially my tarot cards. Ooh, it's hard to decide which decks to bring, because when you start to get into tarot, I mean, I guess this maybe isn't true for everybody, but it certainly is true for me, and it's true for most of the people I know who are into tarot. You buy one deck and then you buy another one, and suddenly you have this you have this huge collection, and it just grows and grows. And I want to bring, because I plan on recording and or live streaming while I'm traveling, I want to bring enough decks that I'll have plenty to work with as I'm going. And yeah, it's true, you always forget something. But I figure as long as I've got my wallet and my identification, I can just buy whatever I need if I do forget it. When I'm on the road, I don't know if my setup is going to be as sort of planned out as all of this. I don't know that I'll bring these crystals. Maybe I'll bring a few. Or like this cool beaded skull. I got this in Mexico at the beginning of this year, actually, and I really love it. Thanks. About the skull. Yeah, it's really cool. I've looked up in the places I'm traveling to if there are tarot shops or, like occult, witchy kind of bookstores that might also sell tarot. And I found several. So that's the other thing to consider, is not just how much I'm bringing, but how much I'm buying along the way. It's so tempting, I feel, when you're traveling to buy stuff because it's just fun, Hi, Mandy. Welcome. I will add you to the list. And Montaigne, I will add you as well. Welcome to anyone who might just be joining. My name's Will, and I'm doing some free live tarot readings today. If you're interested in receiving a reading, check out the video description or the pinned chat message in the live chat. And we're going to start with Jasmine. Was the first to request to be on the list. And so, Jasmine, as soon as I have your question, I will read for you. If any of you are new, then I'll just say my name's Will. My channel is fairly new. It's only a couple of months old. And I've been live streaming just very recently. I've started live streaming. I enjoy it quite a lot. And so I plan to do it as regularly as I can in the future. All right, I will add Shraddha. And Ari. Okay, I wonder, Jasmine, if you are still here. Maybe you're having technical difficulties. Oh, you're here. Okay, go ahead and post your question, Jasmine, and then I will read for you. I hope everybody's having a nice day or evening wherever you're at. It's late afternoon here for me. It's a very warm day, pretty hot where I'm at. We have air conditioning, so I'm fine, of course, but it's a warm one. I'm doing great, Shraddha. Very well. I'm getting ready to go on vacation for a while. I was explaining earlier, I don't know if you were here yet, but I'm still planning to release videos and live stream when I'm able to. It won't be every day like it was last week, but I'll still be doing it. And welcome to anyone who might be joining. My name is Will. I'm doing some free live tarot readings today. And if you're interested in a reading, please check the description of the video or the pinned message in the chat. So Jasmine, as soon as you've got that question, there it is. It was like 3 times chat. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I don't think it's showing up here, but I'm seeing your messages, but I don't think I see a question one. Well, maybe I will jump ahead to Mandy, but Jasmine, keep trying to post your question, and then I'll come back to you after Mandy, and we'll check and see. So, Mandy, if you would like to post your question, go ahead and post it. And then we'll just come back to Jasmine. Mandy wants to know, what is in my future for love? Okay, what is in my future for love? So for a question like that, I would like to do, we'll start with a 3-card reading. And I think I feel like it makes more sense and is more accurate usually to do a short term, right? So like till the end of the year. That's what I was doing the other day, I think, because it's June, so it's about the middle of the year. So why don't we do a 3-card reading, Mandy, for what to expect coming up between now and the end of 2025 for you, okay? And so I'm going to assume you're single because most people, if you were already in a relationship, you'd probably have a more specific question about like the person you're already with. So I assume that you're single. So let's ask for Mandy in 3 cards. What can Mandy expect in their love life between now and the end of 2025? And Jasmine, I see your question now. So when I'm finished with Mandy's reading, we'll come back to your question. All right, so Mandy's love life between now and the end of 2025. We're going to start with 3 cards and see what we get there. And I'll just say, because I haven't said it yet today, I think of readings about the future more like forecasts and less like predictions, because they are subject to change. You have free will. The other people in your life have free will. And there can be circumstances we don't even know about that are unfolding, which could alter the chain of events. But that said, I do think it's helpful to read for the future to sort of be prepared for what could be coming. So we've got Justice here for Mandy as the first card. And so there I'm thinking of balance and making good but slow decisions. 6 wands. This can be about working well with others. This can be about public recognition for succeeding at something, for doing very well at something. And then we've got the Tower at the end of the spread here, which can mean things falling apart, but it can also mean a big transition that happens, right? Like, I think a big Tower moment could be like, I don't know, someone loses their job, right? That could be a big Tower moment. But a Tower moment, I think, can also mean like somebody graduates from college and it's after the celebration, the graduation ceremony, and they wake up the next day and they're like, oh my gosh, what do I even do with myself? Everything I had planned is over, and now I have to sort of start over, right? Something that had been built up has, in a sense, disappeared, right? And so that can be a Tower moment too, of a major change of routine, a transition moment in life. So what's coming up in terms of love for you? Well, the first thing that I'd say is we see some fieriness in the center of the spread. Wands are about fire, and so we could think of passion and desire and creativity and things like that. And I also think of fire with the Tower because there's this almost like divine fire, like a revelation coming down from above and striking the Tower and like knocking the crown off there. So I think that if there's anything coming for you in terms of love, that it might be more in the passionate sense. And I would suspect that it might be kind of slow to come along because Justice is one of the slower cards in the deck. So it's interesting to me that we've got Justice here, which is about doing the right thing, taking responsibility, understanding that every action, every cause has an effect, every action has a consequence, and that we all have to take responsibility for all of that. And so maybe there's a sense that you're thinking about what actions you could take now in order to create the love circumstances that you hope to enjoy in the near future. So, with the Six of Wands, I wonder, my first thought is there anyone that you are actually or figuratively working with who might have some kind of passionate interest in you? And I say that because I think of wands often having to do with career. It's about fire, so it's about something you're passionate about. If you were a student and you were studying something you were passionate about, then I'd ask you the same thing, but about like that context. Like, is there anybody in your life who you are collaborating with in some way about something that you really care about, that you're spirited about, who might emerge as a possible love interest? The other thing to say here, though, is I don't see cups. I don't see the lover's card. I don't see two cards with figures on them staring longingly into one another's eyes. And so my first thought would sort of be that there may not be a, how should I say, like a long-term soulmate kind of situation, right? Or at least not right now. I do see, Mandy, in the chat that you've given us a name of Gary. So it sounds like that's someone maybe you work or study with. And so, I will say that when I see the Tower next to a card like the Six of Wands, one possible thing that comes to mind, and I know we don't know each other at all, and so this, like, I don't want to get weird about it, but sometimes this card, the Tower, can be read in a kind of sexual way, right? And when I see it next to a card like the Six of Wands, or really any of the sort of bigger wands cards, I might think about that, right? So, oh, it's a customer. Yeah, so like I could see if this is someone who you've been thinking about for quite some time and you're trying to decide, would it be the right thing to do to pursue this person, right? Because you're attracted to them, for example, then I could see something developing along those lines. I don't see it turning into necessarily a long-term soulmate deep kind of situation, right? But that doesn't mean that it couldn't be enjoyable or that you could even learn something from that relationship. But it's more of a fiery thing, I think, than a like deep emotional feeling kind of thing. So those would be my initial thoughts about this. So how does that sound, Mandy? Does that maybe confirm something you already know, that this scary person might be a possible love interest in, like, between now and the end of the year? That's the time limit that we put on it. Sounds like this might be someone that you could have a passionate encounter with. And Mandy says yes and no. So maybe say a little more about the no part, and I'll see what I can clarify. And meanwhile, welcome to anyone who might be joining. My name's Will. I'm doing some free tarot readings today. If you're interested in a reading, check the video description or the pinned message in the chat. The other thing I guess that's coming to mind with justice, Mandy, is maybe you're thinking about what the consequences of having a relationship with Gary might be. And I will say that seeing the tower is, the tower is about something falling down, falling apart. And it can be a big thing, or it could be a smaller thing. And it is the kind of circumstance or context in which the tower has to fall down so that you can build something new and better on top of that space, right? But that doesn't mean that it's fun or enjoyable while it's falling down. So it might be a good time while it lasts, but it might also end up kind of making a bit of a mess. So Mandy says that she had a dream that his late wife said he likes Mandy, I think, but your coworker likes him too. So yeah, it might end up causing quite a lot of drama at work, and only you can decide whether it would be worth it for that, to happen. Or whether you're better off sort of looking for a love interest someplace else, right? Jasmine, you will be next. You will be the next person I read for. So, Mandy, it's kind of like, it depends on your personality, right? Like, I'm an earth sign, I'm a Taurus. And so I get really uncomfortable in situations where there's people maybe upset at me or there's drama or stuff like that. And so like if this were me, I would look at this and I would say, no, not worth it. Right? Like I can't deal with all this fieriness. It goes against sort of my own personal personality, right? It would make me too uncomfortable. Maybe when I was younger, things would be different. But the way I am now, I don't think I would enjoy it. But, that's not true for everybody, just because that's how I would respond to it. That doesn't mean that it would be how you would respond to it. And someone is saying, did I notice there are 2 Jasmines? And the answer is no. So now I have to make sure I haven't been telling lies and that I have 2. I'll have to check the chat. Thank you for pointing that out, Joker Jake. I appreciate that. I did not realize there's more than one Jasmine. So Jasmine Romero is on my list. And then there's another Jasmine who I can add to the list, but is not there right now. My bad. Thank you for the heads up. Yeah. So, yeah, Mandy. So if this sounds like it could be really messy, right? He promised his late wife that he'd be faithful. I wonder if that means that he wouldn't date anyone anymore. And then it sounds like he's currently dating your coworker. So, yeah, so you being quiet, I mean, if it were me, I would not want anything to do with that. But I'm not going to tell you or anyone what they should do. You have to decide for yourself. I do think it could all fall apart, right? Like it I think it's the kind of thing where you're wondering, would it be the right thing to do this fiery, passionate love affair, right, with this person who's already attached to other people? And if you do, it's likely to end up being a tower situation, right? That, you know, people are falling out of the tower, which means people can get hurt in that situation. So, um, if you're wondering, like, would trying to start a relationship with this person end up with the two of you wonderfully, happily partnered, I wouldn't say that I see that based on, especially the string of cards ending with a tower, right? Yeah. So let me see our next question, which will be Jasmine Romero. Thanks for the heads up. And I think Jasmine posted her question earlier. And yes, I see it there. So let me shuffle. And we are wondering now about Raul. Jasmine wants to know, what are his current feelings and emotions about you right now? He's a Leo. And remind me, Jasmine, is this someone you've dated, or is it a crush? Or what is your status with this person, Raul? You're very welcome, Mandy. I think that, you know, seeing that 6 of Wands in the center of the spread does indicate fieriness, right? Coming together with someone in a passionate kind of way, but that tower at the end, I would think twice before doing something about it. And welcome to anyone who might be joining. My name's Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings. If you're interested in a reading, take a look at the video description or the pinned chat message. And Miss Ashley, I will add you to the list. And Jasmine says, a crush, you're not in contact, I think, in the last 3 years. Okay. So we want to find out Jasmine's crush, Raul. What is he thinking of her right now? And so we'll do 3 cards for that. All right. Raul is thinking about Jasmine Romero. Okay. Well, how about that? The Lover has popped up. Page of Swords and 10 Cups. My. So I would read the center card here, the Page of Swords, as being who we're talking about, Raoul, as being Raoul. And so the Page of Swords is someone who is trying to gather information often. I think of them kind of like a detective sometimes. They want to know more. So this could even be someone who's like checking out your social media or following you or trying to see like what's going on in your life because they're curious. And this is a very curious person, right? This person wants to know as much as they possibly can about any number of things. But given the question we've asked, we're asking about Jasmine. And so I wouldn't be at all surprised if this person has like Googled you or was looking at your social media and trying to see like what you're up to now, what you're doing. Back here with the lovers, the lover or lovers, depending on how you see it, I would think, of course, of someone who is, number one, has a relationship on their mind, right? And so is thinking about maybe a relationship that never happened, especially since as we see it in the past, right? But number two, making a choice. So like maybe Raoul had to move away or some circumstance changed so that they're not near you and they're thinking back about that choice. And I say that because it's like here they are in the present looking back at the choice they made in the past, right? And then in the rightmost position, we've got 10 of Cups. And there's a couple ways I could see this. Number one, I would think, of course, happiness. This is the card I always would go to for happiness. But it could be like he's not actually, the figure's not looking at the happiness. They're looking back. So it's almost like they're stuck in the past, that kind of thing, right? But maybe they're trying to gather information by remembering the past or gathering information in the current moment, in the present, because they want to figure out how they could get to this very happy position. The other thing I might consider with this 10 of Cups card is sometimes with this card, it's like temporary or an illusion. I mean, actually, I think it's always to some extent temporary because I don't think anybody's life is 10 of Cups always, right? It's just nobody is perfectly happy all the time. So sometimes it can mean pretending to be happy, putting on a show, making it seem like you're really happy, even though maybe you're not, or not as happy as you're trying to make it look, right? But it could also just be that it's a goal and attainment. And I would think that since it's in the rightmost position, sort of the future position, that it's something that he wants to work towards. And maybe he's remembering or regretting or thinking about, dwelling on decisions he made in the past that might not be leading him here, which means maybe he's like trying to gather information now to see like, is there another way to either go back or do it over or change, because he wants to get to this 10 of Cups happy place, right? So Jasmine says, had him Facebook in 2021, but he took his friend list. He did have a friend at the time, a girlfriend. Okay, so he was dating someone back then. And then he had 5 me in my career program group one time. Oh, he found you in your career program, like checking your like online. That's what I'm thinking, like that he found you online in your career program. Yeah, so I think that there might be times where he looks back and thinks, I wonder what would have happened if Jasmine and I had ever dated, right? I think it's that kind of thing. Looking back about a choice that was made, a choice I presume that he made, especially because if you look at how similar the faces and the hair between this figure and the central figure here are, it's like they're the same person, right? Yeah, and then wondering like, I wonder how I'll get to my 10 of cups moment in the future. So, to answer your question, what are his thoughts and feelings? I think that there's curiosity about what could have been different. Um, like what could have been had circumstances been different, had the context been different. Um, I think that they're good feelings, right? I think they're like tender kind of emotions. Whenever I see cups, I think that, the kind of emotions that make us feel happy and warm and fulfilled and comfortable, right? That kind of thing. Um, and so maybe a little regret, maybe some curiosity, some wondering, and maybe some, uh, in the current moment, maybe even some like, Googling of you or checking on your social media. Yeah. I would say he remembers you. I mean, um he remembers you and probably thinks about you from time to time and wonders like how things could have been different. So, welcome to anyone who might just be joining us. My name's Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings today. If you're interested in a reading, check the video description or the pinned message in the chat. And I'm just finishing up a reading for Jasmine. So, Montaigne is the next person on my list. Montaigne, if you are here and would like to post your question, yay, you're here. Go ahead and post your question in the chat. A general reading. Okay, a general reading for Montaigne. Jasmine, you're very welcome. I think he remembers you, and you sort of couldn't hope for better cards than these if you're wondering about an old flame and, the lovers and the 10 of cups here. Like, I think there's something still there, Um, so Joker Jakes, I put the other Jasmine on my list, but I put Jasmine further down, like next on the list, as opposed to putting them in before others. So what I've got now is Montaigne and then Shraddha, Ari, and then Jasmine, and then Miss Ashley I'd added. From what I could tell, that was the correct order. So Montaigne, after Montaigne, we've got Shraddha. Shraddha. So let me grab. We're going to do a general reading for Montaigne. And let's do a general, like a 1 month ahead for like June. It's June 2nd, so we're right at the beginning of the month. So let's see what we've got. And I will use the Trinity Tarot deck for this so that I can fit more cards. When I'm doing a general reading, I feel like I need more cards so that I have more context to work with. I feel like I get better results when I do it that way. So we'll lay out a 9-card box spread or portrait spread, it's sometimes called. And we'll see what we can see. I'm just going to burn a little bit of Palo Santo because I haven't done that yet with this deck today. Okay, there we go. All right, but I did shuffle the deck, so I'll just do a little more overhand shuffling. And then we will pull 9 cards. And we're wondering for Montaigne, approximately between now and the next month, what's coming up, what to expect, anything to prepare for, any actions needed, what's on its way. Okay. Three of Wands at the center. So this makes me think you've already done the big things you need to do, and now you're waiting to see, are they going to pay off, right? Like you've sent out your ships and you're waiting to see, are they going to come back? Is everything I've been working towards and building up towards, am I going to get what I was hoping for, right? That's sort of the central concern of the entire spread today. Let's look at the corners. So, maybe you're thinking you're starting a new project of some kind. Is something new coming up for you this month? And maybe you're kind of either feeling uncertain about it, like a little foolish, or really excited about it and maybe not considering possible complications. Making plans. So seeing these two cards is interesting because it's like in the center, it's like you've already started doing something. But the Two of Wands is about making plans and seeing them sort of flip-flopped. You know, if I saw them in the other way, I'd say at the center is you're making plans and by the end of the month, you'll do something. But it's the opposite, as though you've already taken action or you will already have taken action, but then more planning will need to happen, right? So before I even flip over any other cards, I just say, like, think about what your plans are and have you planned enough and appropriately. Down here, 9 Cups. Ooh, that's the wish card. Traditionally, that means you're going to get your wish, whatever your wish might be. But it's at the bottom, which would mean it's something maybe you're not aware of. And we do have 10 Swords here, putting an end to something. It could be a complex situation with lots and lots of angles to it coming up. And again, it's in the bottom row, meaning something you're not totally aware of, right? So before I flip over the rest of the cards, we've got 2 Wands, more Wands than other suits so far. And so my first instinct is to say this is about work. This is about a career or like studying, some passion project that you're working on. Especially because that card is in the center. It could be actual passion for another person if we see, like, if you're in a relationship or if there's something in the cards that say you'd be getting ready to start one. I don't see that right at the moment, but that is one other way to read the Suit of Wands, right? So Montaigne says they're looking for a new job. Okay. So that would jive very much with the Fool and with the Three of Wands if it's like you've sent out your applications and you're waiting to hear back from them, right? And I wonder, well, let's flip this card so that we have the whole first row over. 10 Pentacles, 9 Cups. Okay. So in the, like, this would, I think, represent sort of the current moment or the beginning of the month. It could also represent the very, very recent past. And so with 10 of Pentacles, on the one hand, of course, that can mean like you have enough money and you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. But since you're looking for a new job and you said in the chat you're also looking to find cheaper rent, I suspect that's not true. And so the other couple of ways that I would read this card here would be number one, an unfair division of money. Like, is someone at work or was someone at work, for example, getting paid more than you? And so there is a lot of money, but you don't necessarily have your fair share of it. The other thing we could think is even if you don't have enough money, maybe you still feel like your life is fairly secure, right? And like you feel like you have enough energy and maybe your health is good and like you're sleeping well and that kind of stuff, even if your financial stuff is not as good. And I say that because with the Nine of Cups, especially seeing the Nine of Cups on the bottom, it's almost like sometimes we don't know how good we have it, that kind of thing, right? Even though it's not perfect, right? With the Nine of Cups, it's like, that's a lot of cups, you know? It's about satisfaction, I think. Even if it's not, you know, I feel like human beings, as soon as they're satisfied, want something else, right? That's kind of part of the human condition, I think, most of the time. So let's flip over some more cards and see what we've got. So in the past, searching for this job, feeling maybe like some folks don't or are getting an unfair portion of the money as opposed to what you're getting, but feeling fairly satisfied. 9 Pentacles. So there is a decrease in Pentacles. Very slow. Like maybe funds are slowly running out. Like maybe you're dipping into savings or something and they're slowly coming out and you know that that's happening. With the Nine of Pentacles, though, I would, much like with the Nine of Cups, I would think still satisfied, right? And this would be more like materially satisfied, and this Nine of Cups is more like emotionally fulfilled. The Nine of Pentacles can also mean getting into debt. The grapes here and the wine can represent luxury. And sometimes the person on the Nine of Cups spends money they don't have because they really want that thing, right? They really want those grapes. They really want that wine, right? You've sent out your applications, and Six of Wands would suggest that you're getting something back, a response back, I would think, right? The Six of Wands is about people noticing you. And so here it's in the middle column of the month. So I would expect like a couple of weeks from now that that you get some kind of like bite back. Someone would contact you about one of the applications that you've sent out. You don't know it yet. It's in the bottom row. So that's like stuff you're not totally aware of at the moment. But Six of Wands would be a really good sign to see there, because in this deck that would represent some success, and it's a public kind of success. So it's somebody else noticing you succeeding. So over here, ooh, Champion of Cups. So I would wonder here if with the Champion of Cups, if this is often read as a card of romance, right? But we're thinking about work. And so I would also think of it in terms of the Champion of Cups can sort of have a fantasy that is really important to them, which again, I think to some extent is true of all people. We all have some kind of fantasy that keeps us going and drives us. The problem or the issue, the thing to watch out for when the Champion of Cups comes up, or the Knight of Cups in another deck, would be not to get lost in it, right? Not to forget about the rest of the world that may not share that wish or fantasy that you have. And so the reason I'm sort of focusing on this card for a moment is I think of this card as what you need to do in the future, right? So I would read the top row as what you're thinking, the middle as what you're doing, and the bottom is what you don't totally know yet. And the right column is about the future. And so this card being in the middle of the right column is like the action that you should be taking at some point in the near future, right? And so with it being the Champion of Cups, it's like you would want to assume the role or the personality of this Champion of Cups, who on the one hand acknowledges their fantasy or their wish, but in their best circumstance, their best self, doesn't get lost in that fantasy or wish, right? This would be someone who's very emotionally, how shall I say, has done a lot of emotional growth, but still maybe has some more to do, right? Like they're not a king or a queen, they're the knight. So they're making progress, they're moving forward, they're going. The other thing to consider with this would be speed. And the Knight or Champion of Pentacles and Cups, those are the two slow knights. And the Wands and the Swords, those are the fast ones. And so another way of reading this would just be like, you kind of will need to be patient, right? Because things may not move forward as quickly as you're hoping that they might move forward, right? So you are trying to start a new job. You are making plans, and maybe you're feeling like it's a really volatile, complex situation, and there's just a lot of moving parts to it. But underneath it, things are going okay, it seems like. Maybe not perfect, but with the Nine of Cups, there's a lot of reason to think like there are some great things happening in your life, right? And so that's the context. The sort of answer to the question of what's coming up for you is some decrease of funds, I would say, but very slowly. 10 to 9 is a very slow decrease, but it's still something that you should watch out for, right? Sending out your applications and hoping they'll come back. And I think that by the middle of the month, within a few weeks, I think you're going to hear something, right? But you're going to have to continue to be patient because these things take time, I guess is the way that I'd put it, right? If we had some other, like another sort of faster card, like if we had the Eight of Wands here, I would say things are going to move very fast and you're going to be very, very busy by the end of the month. But with the Champion of Cups, it's more like a slow movement, right? So let me know, Montaigne, what you think of that. And if I could answer any follow-up questions you might have about the spread. And while you're doing that, I'll say hello to anyone who might have recently joined. My name is Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings today. And if you are interested, check the video description or the pinned message in the chat, and I'd be happy to add you to the list. I still have it open at the moment. I'll also add that my channel's fairly new. It's just a couple months old, and my live streaming are really new. I think I'm not even sure I've done 10 of them yet, but I find them to be quite fun. I like doing them, and so if you'd like to support my channel and you like what you see me doing here, I encourage you to subscribe. That's the best way to support. Okay, so Montaigne wants to know, does this card have to do with romance? Cupid, that is my wish. So I interpreted the whole spread around the work stuff because at the center was the Three of Wands, which I read as usually about work, career, something you're building, something you're doing. But there are two cards here that would make sense to think of in relationship terms. And so they are Nine of Cups, because I think the Nine of Cups is satisfied, but can also be lonely. Actually, I'd say the same thing about the Nine of Pentacles, right? Like everything seems really good, but they're independent, which can be great, right? But independent can also sometimes mean lonely. The Champion of Cups is about being romantic. So I'd say it's not like I see in the next month the start of a relationship, but there is a thread we could draw here that is kind of saying, even though there's a certain amount of emotional satisfaction and material satisfaction, you might be a little like craving a relationship. And of course, you've said in the chat that is your wish. And with the Champion of Cups, I'd say be open to romance, like by the end of this month and the beginning of the next, July. Certainly it would make sense to be open to it, like keep an eye out for it. So, Shraddha, you are the next person on my list. Montaigne, you have a follow-up question? If finances will improve. So, based on the cards coming up for June, I don't think they're going to be in like bad condition. The only information we have about finances specifically are here and here, 10 to 9. And so the good thing about that is they are big numbers, right? The most you can have is a 10, and then going down to 9 suggests that while they might be going down, it's not like it goes down to 2, right? Then I might worry if we had from 10 to 2. That would mean incredibly quickly, like losing money. 10 to 9 just means there might be a little bit unnecessary spending to watch out for. Going forward, right? So will they improve? I'd say sort of by the end of the month, June, they're probably going to be kind of similar, but that doesn't mean that like going forward, you know, by the beginning of July, that things couldn't turn around. But I don't think there's anything to be hugely concerned or worried about with finances. If I saw the 5 of coins at the center, right, then I might say, stop spending money, save everything you have, right? Okay, so... Oh, good, Montaigne, that's great. So you'll be able to save more money. Yeah, that would make sense. Like that would mean maybe in July that you're going to have extra cash to play around with. All right, so Shraddha has asked, what does the universe want you to know about your connection with M? And so let me clarify, is M a crush or someone you have dated? What is your relationship to M? Ari, I'm just starting Shraddha's reading, and then you are next on my list. You're very welcome, Montaigne. Okay, you're currently casually dating. I'm just shuffling the cards. I can do it more quickly on my lap. I've got tape on some of them, and so I can't riffle shuffle and do the bridge like I usually do because the tape gets caught. So it Slows it down a little. Okay, so I'm going to add. I'm just looking. I see Deeren Hunter has asked to be added. And I'm just skimming through. Ari. Miss Ashley, no, you I've still got 3 readings to do before yours. And then Bukal, I will add you. I missed you because it wasn't in all caps, but I did catch it. Bukal. Okay. So what does the universe want Shraddha to know about their connection with, I forgot the initial, was it M? With M. Okay. So let's do 3 cards for that and see where that takes us. All right. The Hermit, searching for something, needing guidance, can be loneliness. Ooh, Knight of Cups. We just saw the Knight of Cups in a different deck. So this is romance. This is someone who is emotionally open, who is interested in a love relationship, who can be very romantic, very deep, but it is also someone who has some growing to do. When they're in their shadow side, they can be more conflict avoidant and shallow. And 9 coins. In the context of this question, I would think of the 9 coins as this 9th sort of odd coin integrating itself into an already existing structure of 8 coins, right? Like there's already a pattern, and finding a way for that new element to be added into the pattern. Like, for example, finding a way for your new relationship to integrate smoothly into your life, as opposed to a relationship that, throws you totally off balance and upends everything else that you've got going on, right? So you like stop seeing friends or miss a day of work or whatever because you're so distracted with this new person. So when I look about just the pictures on the card, I think it's interesting that we've got in the center this Knight of Cups who is sort of riding towards this hermit person who is searching for something, right? And so I just think that's curious, and it makes me wonder, like, what would happen here? Because we're talking about a relationship, so we're talking about 2 people, and I guess we need to sort of figure out which of these is you, Shraddha, and which is M. And I would read both of these cards regardless of gender. And so I guess I'd think, like, which one of you seems to be more romantic or interested? Like, does one of you seem to be more pursuing the relationship, and is the other one maybe more lonely and or seems to be searching for something that they need that isn't necessarily the relationship? Because I'm not sure yet which of these is you and which of these is M. And so I could like read it either way, but I'm not sure which is which. So like for example, if you feel like you're always pursuing him, then maybe you're the Knight of Cups and he's the Hermit, and he's over here sort of introverted and doing something else, like looking at a light, like I imagine him on his phone, or I don't know, looking at a screen or something like that. And Shraddha says, I'm confused too because he didn't express, but he makes efforts towards me. So if he is making efforts towards you, if he's like messaging you or bringing you gifts or looking at you from across the room or something like that, then I would think of him more like the Knight of Cups. And so if that's the case, it could be okay. Here's something I should say. The Knight of Cups can be conflict avoidant, and they're not the kind of person, they're not like a Knight of Wands where they're just going to walk up to you and be like, "Hey, do you want to have a cup of coffee?" Right? Indicating like really clearly that they're attracted to you, right? The Knight of Cups is going to sit back in the corner and like look at you from the corner of their eye and maybe like smile a little bit or make eyes at you, that kind of thing. But they're not bold, they're not courageous, they're more introverted and quiet and that kind of thing. Shy would be a good way to describe them. And so it could be that they're over here like trying to get you to notice them, but they think you're not interested. They think like maybe he thinks that you're interested in whatever's going on over there. It could be anything. And so they're like here trying to make an effort in the best way they know how, but you seem to be kind of on your own, searching, doing something else. And so I guess in that case, in order to integrate this connection into your life better, I sort of feel like you might need to take the risk of being kind of bold and sort of letting him know that you're interested in whatever way that would make sense in your particular context. Like, I mean, everybody's different, but something that I would think of would be like just asking him to have a coffee or something, right? So that so that you can get closer. So something to consider there. I mean, the really good news here would be seeing this card in the center. If you're asking about a love relationship, seeing this card in the center is great, right? The Knight of Cups, because it means that there absolutely is the possibility of developing a romantic relationship. And someone who's represented by the Knight of Cups is not just looking for a playmate. They're not just looking for someone to have fun with. They're not just looking for a helpmate, something that's practical. They're not just looking for someone to talk to. That would be Swords. They're looking for like a soulmate, right? They want something long-term and meaningful, something that really makes sense to them. And so if that's what you're also looking for, then seeing this card pop up, is a really good sign. But because he could be kind of shy, I think you might have to take the reins a little bit, right? That's great. Seeing a lot of positive angel numbers too. That's great. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's sort of like I want to make the hermit sort of turn around and say, like, go talk to him, that kind of thing. So that's what I would sort of recommend is instead of having him pursue you, like maybe in a more obvious way, do something that would sort of motivate him to know you are interested, and that if he comes out of his shell a little bit, like you would be open to that, right? All right. This is cool. I'm glad to see the Knight of Cups pop up here again for Shraddha. Ari, if you are here, you would be next on my list. Yay, cool. And if you'd like to post your question. Shraddha, I wish you all the best of luck with this connection with M. You're welcome. Yay. So my list next, I'm reading for Ari now, and then we have Jasmine, Miss Ashley. I can't read my own handwriting. Someone Hunter, Diran Hunter, and then Bakal. Okay, Ari's question is up above, so let me find it. Why did Everett, a Pisces, block me on Snapchat even though he literally said he was being real with me and was showing interest? Okay, why did Everett block Ari on Snapchat? Let me shuffle the cards. And welcome to anyone who might be joining. My name is Will. I'm doing some free tarot readings. If you'd like to help support the channel, please consider subscribing. All right, why did Everett block Ari on Snapchat? Things are going really well, but then he ghosted. Said he was busy, stops texting so much. Maybe he was lying. All right. Let's see. We'll lay out 3 cards for this. That should be enough to get us started, but if it's ambiguous, we'll pull more. Why did Everett block Ari on Snapchat and just ghost her? Which is rude, by the way. I don't think I need to say it, but I will. Jasmine, you did not miss your turn. You will be next after Ari. Okay, why did Everett? So 6 of Wands. So this could be working with others and lots of people involved. So maybe the busyness is true. The other thing I think about here would be, I think about public recognition. So somebody else seeing you do something, usually for good. But like one thing that would come to mind would be if someone else knew that he was talking to you and didn't want him to do that. Ooh, hello. The Death card. So major change. I mean, maybe something happened in his life and he just can't, like, he just has to deal with that right now. And Page of Cups. Page of Cups makes me think someone who's too sensitive. Right? The Page of Cups is like, can be a dreamer who can take things the wrong way sometimes. And you said Pisces, didn't you? This could absolutely be a Pisces. So here he is walking along holding his cup and it's open. He's got a lid for it in his left hand, but he's got the lid off, like collecting emotions. And it can go too far. And he's a page, so he doesn't really know what he's doing, right? He's not a super emotionally mature person, at least not yet, right? Or at least not the aspect of his personality that you are seeing of him is the sort of emotionally immature side. And so that could be someone who would overreact and block someone, or absolutely ghosting. I would think 100% ghosting with someone who's emotionally immature because they're not able or ready to have a mature conversation where they're like explaining what actually is happening, right? That would be like the king or even the queen of cups, maybe a knight if it's on a good day, right? But the page is like more childish, and ghosting is childish behavior. And so that totally makes sense here. And let me just check the chat. Yeah, so the other thing I think is, so I am not an astrologer, right? So like I know a little bit and I'm learning more, but if you're an Aries and they are a Pisces, we've got fire and water coming together, right? And so that can make a conflict. And it would not surprise me at all if there was something where like he took something you said the wrong way and you didn't mean it in a way that would upset him at all. But he's over here with his little cup opened up to the world and can't handle the way that it made him feel, right? And yes, very sensitive. Yes. So, I could see like he's over here being sensitive and decides to sort of cut you out because there's too much fire, right? Because in his mind, right, wands are fire. So it's like, here's a bonfire, and the action he's taking is to cut that out because it's like too spicy, we might say, right? So, one thing to think about would be, I don't even know if you can still contact him, but you could say like, if I said something that upset you, I didn't mean to, and I'm sorry, right? That's something that he might be able to hear. But also, he's kind of immature. If he's a Page of Cups type, because so the way that I read the court cards along with the zodiac signs is, generally speaking, any sign can match up with the sign from their element, right? So like any court card from Cups could be any of the water signs. If we're going more specific, then I would think of the Knight of Cups as a Pisces, and the pages can always be any of them because it's like the immature version of the sign, right? And so seeing a page pop up here representing this person, I would think, well, they still have some growing up to do, right? Yes, as an Aries, that would be very, because Aries are very direct, right? And they're like, I'm just going to tell you how it is and how I feel, right? And he's over here like not explaining how he actually feels. Yeah, I think that number one, I'd say consider sending him a message that just says, if I said something that upset you, I did not mean to upset you or hurt you, however you'd like to phrase it. And then the other thing I'd think of is water is a slow suit. And so maybe give him some time, right? If he feels wounded, it doesn't mean it was intentional, but if he believes that he's been wounded, it's going to take him a bit to sort of recover from that, right? Because it's a slow suit. Also, I would think this person would want to avoid conflict, which is probably again the ghosting coming up. Um, and so to some extent, I'd say like they need to just grow up, which I think is probably true. But give him some time and see, like, maybe this could be an opportunity. In the best of possible cases, this can be an opportunity for him to figure out that it's okay to have a little bit of sort of conflict with someone. It doesn't mean it needs to be that you ghost them and it's the end of the relationship forever, right? There could be a more adult, mature sort of reaction to that. And maybe this is an opportunity for this person to learn that you don't have to totally cut someone out of your life just because they said something that they didn't even intend to hurt you, and that you took it in a way that maybe because they're a little oversensitive, they took it the wrong way, right? So yeah, I'd send one more message and say, if I didn't mean to hurt you, and I'm sorry if I did. And then I would give them some time and see what happens next. Yeah. Okay, so Jasmine would be next on my list. Not Jasmine Romero, but um, our second Jasmine. And then I see Prob has asked, I think if I'm remembering your name right, P has asked to be added to the list. So I will do that. And Jasmine asks, oh, Ari says that she can't contact him. Well, that's his loss. See if it changes. Yeah, I would not wait around for this person because, like, if they don't want you to find them, I would leave it at least in the short term, because that's we don't have time to deal with people who are emotionally immature. Like, if they're working on it, that's different, but if they're just ghosting you, ugh. So Jasmine is asking if Edgar and she will end up being together. Will the connection work out despite everything and all the years we've experienced together? So Jasmine, it sounds like this is someone who you've dated in the past. Maybe it's like an ex or an on again, off again kind of relationship. And you're wondering, in the end, are you two going to end up together? And so I'll lay out 3 cards for that. And let's see. Jasmine and Edgar. And so we're thinking about the future. So usually I don't go beyond a year, so let's see what we get. Meaning, like, if we're talking 10 years down the road, I don't think the cards would show it. Just because there are too many variables, right? Jasmine and Edgar. Okay, so 4 Swords is about something managing to grow despite the restrictions that are put up around it, right? Like with this card, I think of like a flower growing in a parking lot, right? Like the cracks in the asphalt and the seeds in there, and it manages to grow up despite all these restrictions around it. There's a beautiful flower there anyway. This is the Pope, also known as the Hierophant. Oh my. And the High Priestess looking at one another, sitting down, looking at each other in the eyes. So it's a very interesting pairing because usually when I see 2 court cards looking at each other like this, and if I'm reading in the context of a love question, which I am, then that is a sign where I would say, yeah, these 2 people are going to be together, right? And so that is my first instinct. It's like in the past, there's all these restrictions and sharpness and hard times, right? But something's growing anyways. And then when we look forward, there's these 2 people looking directly into one another's eyes. If it were like the Emperor and the Empress, I would think, oh, that's like a couple, right? And these 2 also look like a couple, but it's the Pope and the Popess. And so there's some complicated thing that we need to throw in here. And I'm trying to figure out how to exactly make sense of it. Because when you think of the Pope, right, or any religious figure, you're not thinking about them being in a relationship most of the time, right? And, maybe same with kind of the High Priestess or the Popess, right? It's like they're religious figures, and it's almost like they're in a relationship, but it's a spiritual one, right? As opposed to like, I don't know, a practical one or a passionate one or something like that. It's like a spiritual connection is what I would think with these 2 cards, right? Like the man and woman of the church sharing a relationship, but then what kind of relationship is it, And so I would wonder if there's any way that it's like a spiritual connection. I mean, I guess that is, it's almost like it's meant to be, like despite all the hardships and despite the idea that maybe, well, I think you said in the message, like there was lots of baggage and you said it was on again, off again. And so there are obstacles there, right? And so I'm thinking about the way that like, if we had 2 religious people who were in love, being religious, being part of the church might be an obstacle, right? So it's almost like in your relationship with Edgar, I wonder if there's a metaphor here where like the church, the institution, is sort of an obstacle to you being together, even if it's not actually the church in your particular instance, right? But yeah, you say a unique connection. I would say absolutely, because this is very unique, right? I mean, I can't think of the last time. I don't even know if I've ever seen these 2 cards come up just like staring at each other like that. But, it's like she's here, she's got her book, but she's not reading it. She's looking at him. And he's got these two people who are trying to get his attention, but he's not paying attention to them. He's looking at her. And so there are like distractions and other things in life that could maybe get in the way, but there they are staring at each other anyways. So the short answer to your question, I think, is I want to say yes, right? That there's this like spiritual connection between the two of you, and despite the restrictions, that something can grow from it, right? So, Jasmine, what do you think of that? This one seems really straightforward to me. They're not always straightforward like this. Yeah, Jasmine says, despite everything, he keeps coming to me, and I'm like, okay, will you finally become my boyfriend officially? I mean, I think there's a chance of... So I guess here's the other thing I'd add is you already know this, but there are difficulties, obstacles, restrictions on the relationship, and that's the swords here. And so it would be great if we had seen like cups, right? Like if we'd seen the 10 of cups, for example, because then we'd think long-term relationship. And so what this doesn't tell us, what this tells us is despite the obstacles and difficulties, something can grow and that there is a spiritual connection. And so that makes me think, yes, you will grow closer to one another. Whether it's the kind of thing that will last for years and years and years, I think that's sort of outside the scope of the reading. It's not, I wouldn't say yes or no to that, but there is a connection, and it's pretty blatant in these cards. So welcome to anyone who might just be joining us. My name is Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings today. I've got 4 people currently on my list, and so check the description of the video or the chat, the pinned chat message to see how to get added to the list. I'll probably just keep it open a little longer because I've been going for an hour and a half, and I've still got other people on the list here. So Miss Ashley, you are next up. Hi, Miss Ashley. Yeah, Jasmine, at the end of the day, you know you want to be with him, and I think there's a mutual recognition there that there's something between you that is special, right? It's like I keep using the word spiritual because we've got those 2 majors, the 2 and the 5, right? So, Miss Ashley, if you haven't posted your question, please post it. And if you have already posted, I'll scroll up and see if I can find it. Yeah, you're welcome, Jasmine. I'm happy to pull those cards for you. So I've got Miss Ashley next, and then Diran Hunter, and then Bakal. All right, so Miss Ashley says it's a love question. There are two options, one from the past and the second is new. Which one should you go with? So what I'll do for that is lay out two sets of 3 cards. And the first set of 3 cards will represent the past connection. And the second set of 3 cards will represent the new connection. And we'll compare them to see what we see. All right. I see Danny Carmen's. I think you asked to be added, and then I think you retracted the message. But Danny, I did add you. But if you need to take off, I can just skip over yours. And so there's some other folks I think who've recently added. Make sure you're reading clearly in the description how to request a reading. I'm probably going to close the list soon because, and maybe I'll reopen it if people aren't here when I call their names. But I've got 5 ahead, and it's already been an hour and 40 minutes, and so that would put me probably. I average like 10 to 15 minutes per reading, and so that would already put me at 2.5 hours. All right, so we are going to see for Miss Ashley the old connection and the new connection. Which one might be better? So these first 3 cards are for the old connection, and the second 3 cards are for the new connection. So for the old connection, 7 swords. So this could be someone who was deceptive. Was this person ever deceptive, or did they not tell the truth, or did they do something behind your back? That's the first thing that comes up. It could just mean that they're kind of hard to understand and a little bit of a weirdo. And I say that in an endearing kind of way. I like weirdos. I'm a weirdo. But with the 7 of Swords, it can also mean someone who's like sneaking or strategizing. The World. So that makes me think, on the one hand, it was very fulfilling, but on the other hand, that it came to an end. And 9 cups. It was satisfying, but also kind of lonely. And so I guess, I was using the past tense here because this is the past connection, but really this is like what you can expect from the future from it. So like if in the past they were ever not totally straightforward with you, or if they were sneaking around, or if there was any lying happen, I would expect that to continue. If that is not your experience at all with this person, with the old connection from the past, this card's a little bit of a, like, could be a red flag a little bit that they could be doing something behind your back, right? And so you'd want to watch out for that. But the World and the 9 of Cups are really great to see, because the World is saying it's bringing together different things that make you feel really fulfilled, and that he sees you in a kind of elevated way and that it would all be very satisfying. With the Nine of Cups, I think of like coordinating all of your emotions, like organizing all of your emotions in a very satisfying way. We also, this is the wish card, the like you're going to get your wish when this card pops up. So, what about the new connection? Ooh, the Lovers. So this can be formalizing your relationship, right? If you think like this person could be sort of blessing the union of these other two. It can also mean making a choice of some kind, but usually I would think that in another context. The Hanged One, making sacrifices though. With the Hanged One, I think of making sacrifices or feeling like you're not moving on, you're not moving forward, things aren't going anywhere, like starting the relationship, but then it's just kind of hanging around. Oh, and the Wheel of Fortune. This makes me think like it's just going around and around and around and around. It sort of is repeating, not growing, right? It just kind of stays the same. This could also mean that there's just some circumstance that you can't have any control over that would come up in the relationship that could potentially disrupt things a bit. So, lots to think about here. Nothing too terribly concerning. And there is not a clear, like, do this and don't do that, right? It's not like we see a bunch of cups and the Lovers in one spread and the Tower and the Devil and Death in the other. There's good cards in both, and there's cards that are maybe a little more complicated in both, but there's not a clear answer for you here. In other words, the short answer to your question is both of these options could be good. And so I would ask, like, I guess I would say number one question with the old connection. If there's anything that you already know about this person that's Seven of Swords like, where they can be sneaky, or if they've ever lied or cheated or anything like that, I would say you can expect that behavior to come back again, in which case maybe the new connection would make more sense, right? That would be the first thing I think I would press upon. Because the other thing we could think about with the Nine of Cups is the Nine of Cups can mean being satisfied but alone, right? Here with the second, the new connection, where we've got the Lovers, that's a really great beginning, but you might need to make sacrifices or give something up. This can also mean even like feeling punished or stuck, right? And then with the Wheel, this is about often repetition. Like, think of the way that the wheel just goes around and around and around. So feeling like a monkey trapped on a wheel. Like, there are good times, there are bad times. Then there's good times again, and then there's bad times. So this one's maybe a little more of a gamble, right? I think of a roulette wheel, right? Like at a casino where you don't really know what's going to happen, because this is the Wheel of Fortune. It's fate, it's destiny. You can't change it. There's nothing you can do. It's going to happen the way it's going to happen, and you just sort of have to wait for it to play out. And so if you were to choose that path, then that would be something to consider. Okay, and Miss Ashley says the first connection was sneaky, like a player type. It's gonna happen again. So if he was sneaky before, Seven of Swords says he's gonna be sneaky again. And he might say really nice things and elevate you and put you up on a pedestal and all of this. And it might be satisfying rather, but can you deal with that again? Right. And if the answer is no, then I think the clearer option would be try door number 2, so to speak, right? Yeah. I mean, if they've recently started opening up, I would sort of think like the world can mean the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new one. And so maybe they are like maybe they've gone through some growth and they are progressing again, like growing up, being better, being more committed, I guess I might say, in terms of commitment to their relationship. But I still like seeing the Seven of Swords here. I'm like, I just think of someone sneaking around at night. Yeah, the new one I think would also maybe have some struggles, but seeing the Lover's card there is very positive. Very, I think there's a lot to be optimistic. I think that this person number 2, is a lot more likely to commit to you. And so, like, I don't think there's going to be sneaking around or lying or that kind of thing, like with the old connection. But it might kind of feel like once the relationship happens, that maybe it sort of stagnates or plateaus, might be a better way to put it. And so, like, it might feel like you're just doing the same thing all the time over and over and over. And um, I guess that's not necessarily such a bad thing because it also isn't necessarily forever. And some people, like I'm an earth sign, I'm a Taurus, and I can be kind of boring in the sense that I don't mind kind of doing the same thing over and over because you know, it makes me comfortable, I guess. Um, and personally, I kind of like the Hanged Man card. The good thing about this, of course, is that it can also represent seeing things from a different perspective, right? And so maybe this relationship gives you a different perspective, because they're upside down, right? And so they see the world in a different way. Of course, it can also mean that the relationship kind of turns your life upside down, which again can be great or awful, depending on what you're looking for and what you'd want. So, Miss Ashley, tell me, are there any follow-up questions that I could answer for you, or anything that you are wanting to know more about from these cards that I've pulled? And while I'm waiting for Miss Ashley, my list is Deeren Hunter, Bakal Prob, and then Danny Carmens. Do you mean like a third option? A third person? why don't I throw down 3 more cards, and for the 3 more, we'll just read them quickly and say, if Miss Ashley ignored both of these people and just kept her eye open for some other option, what might that be? 7 of Cups. Keeping your options open. Queen of Coins. And 10 of Swords, exhausting. So if you keep your options open and sort of don't choose the old connection or the new connection, 7 of Cups would mean there's lots of choices, but maybe none of them seem to be a good choice. This, I think, would be you alone, ready to invest yourself in someone, but maybe there's not someone there to do it. And so you're feeling exhausted. So I think if you really want to be in a relationship, I think I would go with one of these two. I'm not going to tell you which one to choose. You have to decide. I can tell you what I would choose if it were me, but I'm not you. And, I'm hesitate to say that, to make the choice. But I mean, if we can be fair and say, like, I'm not telling you what to do, you choose. But if I knew that someone used to cheat when I was dating them, I personally would be very reluctant to date that person again, even if they said they've changed, right? And so then I might be looking at this new connection and seeing what I could get out of that. But that's just me, and I wouldn't say someone else was wrong if they made the different choice, because you know these people better than I do. You know your feelings better than I do. And so, people can change. And so maybe they have changed. I guess for me, it might just be like, even if I know they've changed, I'm going to look over at them one night and think, you lied to me that time. And maybe it's just that I'm too stubborn and that I can't get over a grudge. And if other people can, then that's wonderful. But I know that I personally would struggle with that. So, okay. So, Darren Hunter, if you are here, you would be the next person on my list. Yeah, if you're a Virgo, well, that's an earth sign, so that would make sense with the Queen of Coins. Hey, Darren. So if you would like to post your question, I would be happy to read for you. And so Darren says June is likely to be a change. Okay, so my question is work related. Work's been a struggle during the first quarter, mainly due to my own creative burnout and mental health. My question is June likely to be a change from that or more of the same? And is there anything I can do to improve the situation moving forward? Okay. Let's clear these up. So you are welcome, Miss Ashley. Good night. And I wish you the best of luck with your future relationship. All right, so I'm just going to shuffle off camera for a moment, Diren, and then we'll pull some cards for you. Thanks, Prob. There's a crystal shop near my house, and I go in there every once in a while, and I don't really know anything about crystals, if I'm being honest. I really don't. I always have to ask what I'm buying. I don't know, and I'll ask like, I'll see something that's really pretty, and so I guess I'm just kind of learning with what I've bought. But it's a cool shop, and they've got candles and incense and books and tarot cards and all that kind of stuff. And I like to go in there. Welcome to anyone who might be joining. My name's Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings. The list is, I'm going to close the list for now because if everyone who's on the list is available still for their reading, then that'll probably be all that I'll have time to do today. Okay, but if you'd like to have me read for you in the future, consider subscribing to the channel so that you'll be able to see when I'm live. So Diren wants to know about work, and it's been a struggle during the first quarter of the year due to creative burnout and mental health. And we want to know, in the upcoming month of June, is there going to be more of that struggle, or is it going to change? And the second question, is there anything that could be done to improve the situation? So I'm going to pull 3 cards for the first question, and we'll start there. And then we'll pull at least 3 cards more to answer the second question. But let's just start with the first and see sort of where that takes us. If it's all sunshine and rainbows, maybe we don't even need to ask how to improve it, because maybe it's just going to improve on its own. So our first question is for Diren Hunter's work situation for the month of June, a month from between today and the next month. What is work going to look like? Is it going to be more of the same struggle, or is it going to change for the better? Okay, we've got the Knight of Coins. So I would think here you are soldiering on, working hard every day, getting a lot done. With this card, it can sometimes mean also, if it's sort of in its shadow aspect or its sort of negative aspect, it can mean too much inertia, boredom, not going fast enough, things moving too slowly, right? So, Knight of Wands, if you work alone, then I would say, like, if the only person we're talking about is you, then this would say to me, you are the Knight of Coins, but you're going to become the Knight of Wands, which would mean moving much more quickly. This is the slowest knight. This is the fastest knight. And so speeding up very quickly. If things have been slow, I think things are going to go a lot more quickly. And if it's a creative project, which I think you'd said in your message that it has to do with creativity, the Knight of Coins is not particularly creative. The Knight of Coins is good at repeating the same task every day, counting the money, cleaning things up, putting things in order, organizing things, plowing the fields, doing the work that needs to get done, but they're not necessarily creative at all. The Knight of Wands is very, very creative, extremely creative. They've got a fire in them. They are passionate about what they do. They get excited. They are stimulated by what they do. They can be kind of a vanguard in the sense that, like, with a creative project, it's like they're on the cutting edge of the next big thing that's happening in their field, right? That kind of stuff. And they're moving very quickly to stay in front of everybody else. And then 8 cups. This would be a very satisfying, fulfilling environment. So I would think, again, if you're working with others, this would mean things are going really well with those other people. This card can represent a gathering, like a party or a celebration of some kind. Think about a place where there'd be lots of people with cups, right, drinking something delicious. In general, though, I think of lots of people being involved. So, like, these could be clients if it's the kind of things where you're like, I don't know, designing artwork for clients, and that's the job. Then these cards together would make me think you were sort of had too much inertia and weren't going anywhere, but now your creativity's back and you've got all these people to work for, right? So Diren says, this is why I love tarot. I told you practically nothing, but yeah, this fits. I'm an independent author, so I do work 100% alone during the outlining, drafting, and writing process. Okay, so you're a writer. So then this could be like a pen, right? Yeah, I mean, then the other thing that comes to mind would be 8 cups can be movement, like emotional movement. And so if you think about like the image on the Rider-Waite-Smith card, it's like someone's on a quest and they're going off in the night because they know there's something better out there for them and they're like searching for it. So that makes me think of the creative process of like a lot of inertia and maybe trying to get stuff done, but the spark isn't there, but the spark coming back, right? And then going off on this kind of creative, emotional, or even unconscious kind of journey, right? So let's pull 3 more cards, because I think the answer to your first question is yes, things are going to get better. But let's pull 3 more and just ask, is there anything in particular that you should be keeping in mind or that you could be doing to facilitate that process? So the Wheel of Fortune, this makes me think like if you're a writer, sit down at that desk every day and repeat your whatever your writing ritual is, to make sure that the repetition gets done. Okay, we do have the Tower, which can mean a revelation. I mean, I would think here, like, I know this is hard to hear sometimes, but sometimes as a writer, you have to scrap an old draft or like delete that chapter that you built up and you really, really loved, but then you realize that chapter is holding you back from creating the really, really good thing. And so you have to like edit it out. That's the idea that I get with the Tower of like, you built something and it looks so great, and then it turns out it has to fall down so that you can make something even better. Okay, and then 10 Wands. Here I would think, be careful of burning out. So if your creative spark is about to come back, that's exactly what you want. Feed it, but don't feed it so much that it just explodes and then burns out completely, right? That's, don't let it turn into a burden. Be careful of the kind of dynamic where it's like, well, things are going well, so I have to keep going and keep going and keep going. and then you're not sleeping or you're not eating or you've neglected your relationships or whatever it is. And then, you wake up a week later and you're like, oh my God, what happened to all my momentum? And like it burned out already, that kind of thing. That's what I would think to sort of watch out for. So on the one hand, find a rhythm, right, for your writing process. Number two, don't be afraid to delete that sentence, paragraph, or chapter if it needs to go so that you can bring in something better later. And be careful of burning out. Those would be my bits of advice based on those cards. Welcome to anyone who might be joining us. My name's Will, and I've been doing some free tarot readings. Right now, I have had to close the list because I've got so many on there, but I would be happy to read for anyone who's not on the list in the future. And if you would like to know when I will be doing readings in the future, you can subscribe to the channel. The next person on my list is Bukal, and then Prob, and then Danny Carmans. So Bukal, if you've got a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. And then Darren says, and again, nailed it, Tower. I've been debating rewriting my current draft from the beginning. I'm 90,000 words in, and it feels like it needs an overhaul, but wasn't 100% sure yet. Yeah, I would keep it open as a possibility. The tower is like, nobody wants the tower to fall, but to build a stable house, it has to, Yeah, and don't overdo it once the spark comes back. But I'd say seeing these two, like if there were nothing else here, just seeing the Knight of Coins turn into the Knight of Batons is really like obvious. The spark is coming back, right? Here you've got your plain old ordinary coin, but here you've got a spark of creative energy. So I wish you good luck, Darren, with your writing in the upcoming month. Okay, Bukal's question here. You're welcome, Darren. Bukal says, my question is, does Bohair love me? Like I want to marry him, but he is behaving so avoidant. Is there any future of our relationship? Okay. So let me shuffle these. And welcome to anyone who might just be joining. My name is Will, and I've been doing some free tarot readings today. If you're interested in a reading, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to continue reading for those who are already on my list. I find that I can usually only do about 10 or 12 readings before I just get totally wiped out. And so I'm approaching that now. But if I've told you you're on the list, then I will still read for you. And if I'm not able to read for you today, I would be happy to read for you at a future time. And if you subscribe to the channel, it'll be easier for you to see when I will be live. But obviously no pressure, right? Like I have a day job, everyone. And so I'm not looking to like make it big in YouTube. I'm doing this because it's fun and I want an outlet for my tarot. I read for myself also, of course, but I just find it fun to read for other people. Oh, thanks. Bukal says I'm so polite. And you do not have to tell me your real name, Bukal. I don't need to know your real name. No. Okay, so we're going to pull 3 cards for Bukal to answer the question, does Bohair love Bukal? She wants to marry him, but he's behaving in an avoidant way, and you want to know if there's a future for the relationship. Okay, so we'll start with 3 cards, like I do for most readings. And if we get a clear answer, we might not need to pull any more cards. If we don't get a clear answer, then of course we always can pull more cards. So let's see. And the other thing I'll say is, just because I haven't said it in a while, everything, if we're talking about the future, like everything can change, right? So everyone has free will. You have free will. The people in your life have free will. And because of that, we can all make decisions that can alter the course of events. So I like to think of this more like a forecast and less like a prediction that's written in stone, right? So let's see what we get. Okay, 3 cups. That is promising to start with because it suggests emotional growth, and it means often that 2 people in a relationship are working to build something, metaphorically, to build, like to work on their relationship, right? So this is really good to see opening up. It's like emotional growth, things are growing, coming together. But then we've got the Hermit, and the Hermit is searching for something else or something more. And the Hermit is often by themselves, right? When you think of a hermit, they're a solitary kind of person. And the Star, well, the Star can be very optimistic on the one hand. The Star is about the light at the end of the tunnel and things turning out and everything's going to be okay in the end. But I also think about the way that you're asking a question about a relationship, and so you're asking about 2 people, and then we've got 2 people here, and so I'd kind of want to read the 2 of you as these 2 people and see what that brings up. And so my instinct or intuition or whatever you want to call it would sort of make me think of you as the Star here and your partner as the Hermit. If you think it's the other way, just let me know in the chat. But I'm getting that sense. And so we've got one person who's over here kind of vulnerable, right? Very open, and she's pouring these vessels of water out, like giving her emotions out to others or to someone else. But this other person is not looking at her, right? It's like she's pouring herself out and they're over here looking off away, like not paying attention, maybe like they should be. And the Hermit I think of as someone with their lantern. That's why I named my channel, is we're searching for something. We want an answer. We want something else. There's something we want, right? And so the Hermit is on a quest. He's like going up the mountain with his lantern looking for something. But I think it's really interesting that, like, here's here's the star. Here's the light in the sky. Here's the North Star that can guide the hermit towards what he wants, but it's behind him. He's not looking at it. Instead, he's trying to use this little lantern to see his way forward. When the real bright light is behind him and he's not looking at it, right? Instead, he's looking off here at 3 cups, right? Almost like another option. I think of the way that I know these aren't cups, they're more like vases or something, these water vessels, but the star's holding 2 of them, and then there's 3 over here, and it's like he wants one more or something. Like he's always looking for the next best thing, or he's always got his eye open for something else. Like as soon as he has something good, he's like, okay, how can I get more? That's the kind of thing that's coming to mind. And so meanwhile, you're back here like pouring yourself out, pouring your water out, metaphorically, right? With this beautiful landscape and being vulnerable and open. And then he's over here like, yeah, but what's down this street? What's around that corner? You know? So that's just me describing what I see in the cards, and to actually then use that sort of story, that description, to answer the question. I think that this is someone who's not wanting to settle down. They're on the move. They're searching, right? And so at least right now, obviously, as I said at the very beginning, it can all change and it's not written in stone, and they might have an experience tomorrow that totally changes their mind about everything that we don't know about, right? But if we're taking a snapshot of right now, they don't seem to be someone who's like really in the current moment looking for like a strong long-term commitment. That is, and I know that's probably not what you want to hear. And I could imagine someone reading these cards in a different way. But with the way that, and like, I think sometimes readers will tell people what they want to hear, because it makes people happy and people like to make people happy. And I like that too, but I also don't want to like lie, I guess is what I'm saying. Right. That's kind of what I see. So what do you think? Let me look at the chat. Bukal says it's like a situationship. Okay. So it sounds like maybe already that there's not he's not committing, right? That he's like open to being with you, but maybe not exclusively, or he's also kind of dating other people maybe, or he's on the lookout for other people. That's kind of the sense that I get there. So welcome to anyone who might just be joining us. My name's Will, and I've been doing some tarot readings. I am winding down. The people who are already on the list, I've agreed to read for them. I will read for them. But I've decided to close the list for today. So Prob or P and Danny Carmans are the next people that I would see on my list. Yeah, I mean, Bukal, I don't see a marriage in, like, with the question we asked was specifically about this person you're seeing now, and right now I wouldn't say I see a marriage with him, right? Because I think he's in searching mode. He's like looking, right? which doesn't mean that that couldn't change again. It absolutely could, but I wouldn't say I see you getting married to this person based on his current mindset right now. So, do I see you getting married with someone else if not him? So let me ask, Prob, are you here? And Danny Carmen's, are you here? Because I would want to read for them if they are here before I did a second question. Prob is here. Okay, so then I think Bukal that I'm gonna need to move on to Prob just because I'm winding down. But on another day, I would be open to doing a reading for you about that second question. I just want to conserve my energy and try to be as fair as I can because I know Prob's been waiting for a while. So Prob, if you can put your question in the chat, great. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bukal, for understanding. So let me shuffle. And Prob says, do I see Sahib ever initiating communication with you? You were the one to cut off as it felt one-sided. I've moved on, but I still wonder if he ever cared enough. So it sounds like this is someone you dated in the past, and then you sort of broke up with them, and it's been a while, and you're wondering if they're ever going to like message you or reach out to you, try to communicate with you in the future. Is that correct? And hi, Crow's Nest. I see your message. I'm winding down the live stream for today, so I've decided to close the list, but I would be happy to read for you in a future live stream. And if you are interested in subscribing, then you'll be able to see more easily when I'll be live streaming, if that's something you're interested in. Cool. Yeah, I just... I'm at the 2.5 hour mark and my energy's getting low, so it's time to wind it down. So Prob says, you moved on, but still wonder if he ever cared. It's kind of like that you were rude to him. Okay. But you had to be, like, in order for him to sort of see that you were serious about breaking up, you had to be kind of rude or stern. Okay. So we're going to pull 3 cards for Prob, and we're going to ask, is Sahib going to initiate communication? And I'm going to put a time limit on it. I know in your question you said, will he ever initiate conversation? But let's say within like a year. I wouldn't want to do more than about a year. But so like between now and June of 2026, about, you know, because a decade from now, you could run into each other in the street, and it could be a total coincidence, and nobody could foresee that coming necessarily. So we're going to pull 3 cards here for Prob to see if when the next year Sahib is going to try to communicate, reach out and communicate. Send a text message or an email or a DM. All right. So 7 coins. This is about, can either be accepting something, like accepting the way things are, or it can be wondering, like having done something and wondering if it was all worth it, if it would pay off. Page of Cups. So he might be kind of hurt. The Page of Cups can be someone who's oversensitive, and so if you felt like you were kind of rude, he might have taken that really hard. It might be hard for him to bounce back from that. Okay, a 9 cups here makes me think of someone who is either actually satisfied with their current situation or who's at least pretending like it's all good and they're satisfied and happy. Um, because the question you asked was about communication, is he going to reach out? I would want to see some swords, I think, in here, because swords are the suit of communication. Like an ace of swords, I think would be a really clear message that he was going to reach out and say something. The Eight of Wands might be another card where I would see it, and that would indicate like shooting off an arrow to like send a communication. So like what I'm kind of getting here is the idea that he's had to accept that the relationship has ended, and he's sort of had to find a way to come to terms with that, even though he was emotionally hurt by what happened, and he's trying to convince himself that he's over it, even though maybe he isn't actually totally over it, but he's at least trying to make it look to other people like he's over it, if that makes sense. So the question was, will he reach out and communicate? My tentative answer is I think not. I will say, if I'm being 100% honest, pages can be messengers. And so if I had seen another card, like if I had seen another card here, a figure card that I thought could represent you, I'd be more likely to give a yes answer to this. Or if I had seen, as I said, like one of the swords cards to represent communication, like even a 2 of swords where it's like 2 people sending messages back and forth. But here I'm getting more like he's thinking back to how it was and trying to accept how it ended, feeling hurt because he was emotionally vulnerable, and maybe he's a little oversensitive, maybe. And he's either satisfied with his current emotional condition or he's pretending that he's satisfied. I say that because with the 9 of Cups, it always feels to me kind of like there's enough, but something's missing. That 10th cup isn't there, right? And so it's like he's, things are good. He's satisfied, but also he's like, also I'm alone, that kind of thing. So Prob says, fine with me, to be honest. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that he probably was hurt and also probably kind of immature in his own way. Like, you would know the details better than me. Obviously, I don't even need to say that. But if he's showing up here as a Page of Cups, this card showed up earlier today in another reading, and it often represents someone who's emotionally immature, right? Who has a lot of learning or growing up to do, especially as it regards how they interact with others in relationships, and just how sort of emotionally intelligent they happen to be. So sounds like you're okay with that, and that he may not be contacting you. I would say probably he won't be. But again, I did put a limit on this of a year, and it's a forecast, not a prediction, so things can change. And beyond a year, you could maybe ask again and see like if it might be different at that point. But but I wouldn't like expect it, you know? So the next and final person on my list is Danny Carmens. That was from a while ago. Danny, are you here? You would have been waiting quite a while. But if you are here, I can do a reading for you. You're so welcome for the reading, Prob. And if Danny's not here, it looks like I've done 10 readings today, which is usually 10 or 12 is like as many as I can usually do. So I'm pretty satisfied. I know that there are probably folks who I wasn't able to read for today, and I'm sorry about that. If you'd care to subscribe, then you'll be able to see more easily when I'm doing live streams in the future. And I would be totally open to doing a reading for you in a future live stream. I did say at the top of the live stream, and I'll repeat it, that I'm planning to do some traveling coming up. I'm leaving tomorrow, and I'll be traveling for several weeks, and so I won't always be able to do daily live streams like this, but when I am able to, I'm going to try to hop on. I'll be staying with family and in hotels and in different places. But, when like if I've got a quiet enough space and Wi Fi, I'm bringing my equipment. So I'm hoping to do some live streams. When I'm staying with family, though, they have a chicken coop. So um, I hope you don't mind if there's chicken noises in the background. We'll see whether or not my microphone picks that up or not. So, Taproot Tarot, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thanks for the subscribe, and I hope you like my readings. I'll have to look you up. And if you'd ever like to ask a question, I'd be down to do a reading for you at a future live stream. Oh, thanks, Deeran. Thanks. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. I thank you so much for saying that in the chat. I enjoyed reading for you. And so I'll end it here. Thank you for everyone who joined the live stream today. It was a pleasure to read for you. Thanks for giving me that opportunity. I enjoy having this outlet on YouTube to do readings in real time and interact with you in the chat, and I would love to see you in a future live stream. Thank you. Have a great morning or afternoon or evening. It's about dinner time here, so I'm going to go pour a glass of wine and sit down to dinner, and I will see you in my next live stream in the future. Bye, everybody.